the commonality which was there, right? And this is a major commonality, which was that I just keep thinking about how I can make the best videos for my audience, right? And you're like, I don't care about what people can label me, what they're calling me, what they're doing this, doing that. I am just obsessed. And I think the second video showed me that Mr. Beast is actually human, right? Because some people thought that, you know what, dude, this guy is probably crazy. He slurs when he speaks. His personal life or his work-life balance isn't something to be very proud of. But at the same time, he is very human. He has those emotions and he wants to focus on that, and he realizes where he's at. I think that self-awareness is important. Now just have a look at this. In this one, right from a very photographic perspective, look at his arms, look at his stature, look at his style.
Chilling.
He kept his arms like this. He's chilling. He's looking at Colin and Samir. He's on a high.
He should go, out and have some fun with the family as well, because you're right, he looked a little on the downside of the energy in this second interview. And he also was a bit uncomfortable when marriage thing came up.
There's a reason why nobody else can make the videos like we do, even if they try. I'm not saying this. This is what Mr. Beast said recently on a video. Now, Mr. Beast is actually one of the most prolific names when it comes to YouTube. Over the past 2 or 3 years, he has pretty much defined what being a creator on YouTube looks like. But over these past 2-3 years, there have been 2 videos where we've actually understood who Mr. Beast really is, what he's going through, what his process is. And of course, these 2 videos have been shot roughly 2 years apart from each other, but they say quite a bit about who he is as a person and where he's headed. I'm obviously talking about his 2 full-length videos with Colin and Samir, who are also great YouTubers, by the way. And the differences, the opportunities, what lies ahead, what is left behind, is something that we'll be covering today for this week's episode of Creator Deep Dive. But before we speak a lot about Mr. Beast, who's obviously the focus of this episode, I want to say hi to Shubham. Shubham, how's it going?
Hello. Yeah, again, fun episode of CDD.
Fun episode of CDD, because we'll be speaking about 2 episodes of the Colin and Samir show, right? And Shubham, you would agree with me, right, when I say that these 2 episodes have pretty much been very big milestones even for Colin and Samir, right? Because when this video came out in 2021, the first one, of course, it pretty much led to a very, very huge surge of subscribers and followers and views, of course, for Colin and Samir, and gave us a window into Mr. Beast's world. And even the latest one, which has come out pretty much right now, that has also been such a successful video and given so much insight as to who he is as a person, which we never really come to know of. But these 2 have been very big milestones in my head.
Yeah. And I think Mr. Beast, he just loves Colin and Samir.
Yeah, he does.
He would, agree to anything they say, smile and, because we have seen him on other episodes, other podcasts as well, like, Lex Friedman recently interviewed
Absolutely.
him. But this was so much more fun because, the guy's in love with Colin and Samir. So big shout out to, Colin and Samir for being so cool and, being the pioneers of creator economy.
Correct.
And yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason, again, is that, he likes them. That's why he talks to them periodically.
Absolutely.
And they also, collaborated. They, filmed an entire day in a mall where, the burger thing was happening.
Yeah, absolutely. The documentary, which they also spoke about.
Yeah. So I think, it's going to be a periodical thing. We're going to see a lot more interviews of Mr. Beast with, Colin and Samir. Maybe again, 2 years down the line, another one, 2 years down the line. Because, Mr. Beast, I think he himself said in the second episode that he can keep doing this for the next 50 years, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he's got so much time and nobody can do what he's doing.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot more is going to come through these conversations, wonderful, insightful conversations. And I think what I really like about these conversations is that they're really, deep. No question is, off the limits. They ask him any question and he's gladly answering. So, love those episodes, man.
Yeah, I love those episodes. And what you also mentioned about something periodic, what it immediately reminded me of was what Billie Eilish used to do, I think, with one of the magazine publishers, right? Every year, I think someday in October, she used to do it, where she used to be there and you can see the growth, right? You can see that, I think the first episode, she has a few thousand listeners, then she has 1 million, and then she has loads of millions of listeners on Spotify and, thousands of fans across the world. millions of fans actually across the world, and how she's progressed as a person, what she likes, what she doesn't like. So I think this is also a great example of a format which I think is not very replicable, because the scale with which these videos are produced, of course, the scale to produce these videos is not too much, but to see those changes, right, like every year you need a creator like a Mr. Beast, right, because you can see those incremental changes. The exponentiality which is there when you look at a Mr. Beast is crazy, and you always want to document that, right? So it's a great way of documenting, oh, in 2021 Mr. Beast was here, in 2023 he's here, right? Like
Yeah,
now
yeah,
he is the bastion of YouTube. In 2021 he's a big creator, he's a very, very big creator, but now he's synonymous, right? Now he's
yeah.
synonymous with the platform. Where can he go in 2025, let's say? So I think that'll be very interesting to explore.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
And to add one small point,
Yeah.
to me, Colin and Samir, look like an extended team of Mr. Beast at this point.
Right.
He has his crew while he's shooting the videos, and they are like post production crew.
Correct.
Like, the video is complete. Now let's talk about the video with Colin and
Correct.
Samir. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's their relationship will evolve further.
It
That's what
will.
I'm
It
saying.
will. It
We
will.
can see Colin and Samir someday in Mr. Beast's video sooner
Yeah.
than later. I feel, yeah.
Sooner than later, for sure. No, because I also know for a fact that, and they mentioned this in the video as well, that they were playing basketball together, and Samir I think mentioned how competitive Mr. Beast is, or Jimmy actually, off the screen he's not Mr. Beast, like they obviously call him Jimmy, which is his real name. So definitely they have that off screen relationship as well, and we've seen it on screen with a bunch of videos already. Right. So, Shubham, some very interesting thoughts. Like overall, I would say my initial thoughts about this video is that, or rather, these two videos are that there are similarities, right? There are core similarities, but also there are some major differences, right? There are some major differences that I've seen. There's a growth,
Let's start with the
there's this
differences. Yeah,
maturity. Yeah. So
yeah.
let's start with this, and I actually want to go ahead and share my screen and tell you about the thumbnails, right? Because I observed some very interesting things about both the thumbnails and the way the titles are, are explained and are written out, right? So I'll just start sharing my screen. Okay. So Shubham, first off, okay, we're looking at the Colin and Samir tab, 1.29 million followers, subscribers. They're obviously very popular. But let's look at this one, right? We have, and of course we can talk about the autoplay feature, which they also spoke about in the video. But if you look at Mr. Beast here, right, he's kind of morose. He's has his hands on his face, resting like this. He has a bit of a smile, like he's not completely sad or he's not completely gone.
Yeah,
He's looking at the camera, and I love the title, which is an unfiltered conversation with Mr. Beast, and the thumbnail text is the real life of Mr. Beast, right? So you can almost see that it's not a very rosy picture, right? There is some truth
yeah,
to it. There is some conflict or drama, which we obviously go through and which we'll also deep dive into. So that was there with the first video. Now let's actually compare it with the video that was there 2 years ago. Now just have a look at this, right? First of all, I can definitely see that this mic has been photoshopped, right? This is not the mic that they had used. I just
yeah,
observed this right now. Okay, so that's this is there. They just put that here. But if you compare it with the latest video that's there, right, like where his head is resting on his hand and he's kind of looking morose, looking dead into the camera. And this is the thing about photography as well. Like this is one of the basic truths about photography, that when you're looking into the camera, there's a certain truth, right? Because there's no other filter. You're looking dead into the camera and you're looking basically into the person's eye, right? In this one, right, from a very photographic perspective, look at his arms, look at his stature, look at his style, that he's
chilling.
kept his arms
Yep.
like this. He's chilling, he's looking at Colin and Samir, and he's on a high. You can argue that he's still on a high, and I would definitely say that the highs are higher now. But as we mentioned in the video, and as we saw in the video, that there are also quite a few lows. There are also quite a few off days. There's a lot of stress. He mentions that there are a lot of families that depend on him, and if he doesn't start creating videos, if he doesn't create videos every day, then people aren't going to
Yeah,
be fed at home. So that is the kind of pressure that Mr. Beast is dealing with in this genre and this era of YouTube, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you feel about this?
I mean, it's the burden of every let's say pioneer. A lot
Yeah.
of people depend on them, because I remember the great Indian filmmaker Satyajit Ray once mentioned, like somebody asked him, like, why do you make one film a year? I
Hmm.
mean, why are you making so many films? So he said that because people depend on me, their families are running because I'm making films. So I think it's the same thing. Mr. Beast, he knows that it's not just his immediate associates. It's also about the journalists who are writing about him,
Hmm.
other YouTubers who are making videos about him. he said, in the second interview that, I can't slip up because people may, that there will be 500 videos talking about how is Mr. Beast slipping up? Is he,
Yeah.
depressed or something? So he understands that, he's like a very central part of a, wheel,
Yeah.
giant wheel, which is, connected right to the, to the edge. And I believe he has to expand his team going
Yeah.
ahead, because the way his production quality is, getting bigger and bigger. Oh my god, he's inviting NFL players, he's inviting, I don't know, next up I guess would be a president of America, I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because uh, it just shows the scale what you mentioned, and the first immediate thing when I thought of scale was the videos themselves where they were shot. It's actually the exact same spot, right? But the fact is, in the first video, and I think they just purchased that land or that set or that
Oh
factory, whatever
really?
you may call it. It was
That
it
place
was
looked so small in the first one.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So, and now they've, like, really expanded because they have so many sets going on, and they have so much of stuff going on. So that just shows the kind of incremental growth. And I am almost beg to question as to how far can you go with this, right? And like, where, how much is too much? Because you do it with the president, right? Like, you have the president on your show. What's next? Like, do you have to go to Mars? Right?
Yeah,
Like, do you have
go with
to,
Elon Musk.
yeah, go with Elon Musk or something? Like, I don't know where this ship can head. And he mentions that, there wide, and he mentions AI as well. Now AI has become such a big part of mainstream culture that he's
Yeah.
also mentioned AI, and that how in the future he might just use AI to do things smartly and whatnot. But I feel that there will be a point, and he's also acknowledged that he wants to spend more family time. Right, there will be some rest, but at the same time he wants to
Hmm.
keep doing videos. Right, one thing which really,
Yes. Yeah.
really, the commonality which was there, right, and this is a major commonality, which was that I just keep thinking about how I can make the best videos for my audience. Right, and he's like, I don't care about what people can label me, what they're calling me, what they're doing, this, doing that. I am just obsessed. And the way he uses, and the way he says it, he actually starts subtly banging the table. Right, like, he's like, I am obsessed, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to listen. So that shows the internal
Yeah.
strife that this man is going through. That you can throw 1,000 arrows at him, right? But he's going to be who he is, which is Mr. Beast. He's going to keep doing the videos that he is. But of course, he is learning the other tricks of the trade as well. And something that we should definitely discuss, which is the whole criticism. One of his major criticisms, which is how everything has started to look the same, right? The beastification.
Yeah,
What are your
but
thoughts?
he's not responsible for it,
He's not
right?
responsible
He,
for it, right?
yeah,
Yeah. But what are your thoughts
because
on that
yeah,
in general?
because Colin and Samir called out, a lot of creators who are just right away copying his
Yeah,
style,
yeah.
and that's great of Colin and Samir because they are like they represent the knowledge base of this creator economy.
Oh, nice. I like that.
So,
They represent the knowledge base of the creator. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, see, I think that's again another burden of a pioneer of any industry, because people start emulating you to the, point of just copying you directly.
Yeah.
Now you can see YouTube is much more tangible, right, in terms of creating stuff.
Hmm.
You can make the same thumbnail, you can write titles like that, unlike other industries where things are much more random. So I think that's why I think the onus is on YouTube now.
Hmm.
I think they should come up with a mechanism which asks people to be more creative rather than just copy someone, because there are a lot of channels who are going to talk about how Mr. Beast is winning the YouTube game, 10 things you can learn from his thumbnails. That's all fine, but output should be should be different, right?
Hmm.
Creativity is something I think the north star metric for YouTube should be the next north star metric should be creativity,
Yeah.
because the more bland the entire platform becomes, the less people going to spend their time on it.
Yeah.
So I think Mr. Beast can't do anything about it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really mentions that he it's also gone out of hand, and like, he really can't control it because people think that, oh, this is because it's working for me. And he also mentioned this interesting anecdote that people are literally copy pasting their faces on the thumbnails that
Yeah.
he's making, and they're just putting out there, which is just bizarre and crazy to me. And also, when it comes to beastification, right, what you mentioned about the platform and the creators, there's actually a very, very a must read article that's there, which is called the YouTube Next Wave, right, which is basically these bunch of creators, right? They almost have like a bunch, like a crew of sorts, and this alliance, um, and they call themselves the next wave or the new wave of YouTubers. where they're letting go of these thumbnails, where they're letting go of this retention based editing, and they're just doing a lot of filmmaking, low budget, low fi, not on such a big scale, not really doing philanthropy, but they're getting, you can almost say that they're going back to the good old days of YouTube in a newer format. But there is a lot of push and pull that's happening. But Mr. Beast, I think, is on such a level that actually doesn't concern him, right? Because there will be
Yeah,
forces that are copying him. There are forces that show their disdain towards the whole beastification and whatnot. But if you look at Mr. Beast, he's at such a scale, right? And he mentioned this in the video as well, that the next Mr. Beast of YouTube can't be another Mr. Beast, right? It'll be
yeah,
somebody who's different.
absolutely.
It'll be somebody
Yeah,
who has a different format,
from another
different way of look
country,
from other
culture.
country,
Yeah,
probably from other culture, a different way of looking at things. Because the way he says, I've been doing this for 14 years, right? I have millions of dollars that I spend, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think about this, the single waking hour of my life is devoted to this. And he says that I don't
Yeah, yeah,
recommend
yeah,
this. He says that I
yeah.
don't recommend this lifestyle, that I
And
don't have work life balance. So that to
right,
me is
right.
so crazy that he actually mentioned that.
And Mr. Beast doesn't come across as a person who's very knowledgeable about YouTube. To
Yeah.
me, at least, he doesn't look like
Yeah.
that. It
Yeah.
looks like he got successful,
Yeah.
randomly. But
Yeah.
he's not. I mean, he's a genius. He understands this platform so well. I'll give you one example.
Mm.
He's, dubbing his content in other languages to,
Yeah.
go deeper in other markets. For example, in India. So he said something fascinating in the second interview. He said that he doesn't like AI, translations. He
Yeah.
hires actors there, and
Correct.
they do dubbing in their own style. After reading his body language, everything about himself, it reminded me of a very famous TV show in India, Takeshi's Castle. If you
Of
remember,
course. Yeah.
the commentary on it was in Hindi, of course,
Javed
the Hindi
Jaffrey. Hmm.
language, and it was completely, it was so well done, that commentary, that you
Mm.
realize that you need that human touch. So quickly connected my my memory of that thing. Like
Yeah.
Mr. Beast understands that you need people, you need the cultural representatives of that specific culture to get your content across.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's very smart lad for 25-year-old.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. I think he's not just Mr. Beast. I think he's Mr. Worldwide, right? Because the way he looks at his content, I think he is going to become, perhaps, I think Mr. Beast has the potential of becoming the most famous person ever, right? Like, if you just think about it, like, there are obviously in the English speaking world, right? Like, we have a few
Yeah,
billion people, and of course, the Donald Trumps, they've been very popular, and the Barack
of
Obamas
course.
and whatnot. But they're also kind of limited to, let's see, the American or the adjacent to the American world. But I think someone like a Mr. Beast, if somebody in a village in India is also watching his videos, and somebody in like an upstate New York is also watching, that will just show how
Amazing.
huge and how amazing his empire has been, right? But it does. What do you think that it is going to show signs of slowing down? Because he did mention that hyper focus is important in the first video as well, and the second video as well, that Mr. Beast is the main channel and everything else is just supportive. What do you feel about that?
See, I don't think it's going to slow down. And, I've said this couple of times before. I think Mr. Beast should start, traveling with his crew. I
Yeah.
mean, he does travel to, showing these hotels and boats of different
Yeah, the
sizes,
yacht
different
the yacht
prices.
video, which
Yeah,
was
the
beautiful.
yacht. Yeah. But I think he should, go to, different countries altogether to shoot his videos now,
Hmm.
because his crew is also there. There are like, 190 Mr. Beasts all over the world now who are giving their voices to. So, I mean, he should just go and explore, because we want to see the world through his eyes, what he does. Because $5,000, let's say, spent in America, and $5,000 spent in, let's say, Congo in Africa, it's a mind-blowing difference.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
he recently did that operation thing, like
For the
philanthropic
visually
work that he
impaired.
did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool, man. And he's making philanthropy cool. That's
Yeah.
the greatest thing about this guy. And I
Yeah.
hope he becomes, the most famous guy in the world at some point,
Yeah.
just like you mentioned. For
Yeah.
that reason only, yeah.
Yeah, I think he has the ability, right? Because if you think about it, what he does right now, he has the money, he has the distribution, right? So, and he has a lot of love from the audience. Of course, there will be deterrents. There will be people saying that, oh, you make the same thing every time. Oh, you don't. There's no originality and whatnot. But the path that he's on and the kind of thick skin that he's developed, I think, goes to show that this is a man who will probably not stop, at least not in the next few years, right? And he will have, created such a big empire or such a big foundation, right? Like, there
Yep.
is so much of philanthropy that's already going on with him. But this whole movement of creating content for good, I think that has really
That is
struck a
just
chord,
amazing,
right?
man.
That has really
Yep.
struck a
Yep.
chord. And if you ask me, that is one of the main reasons why, like, even if he did challenges, there's a limit to where these challenges can go, right? The fun can go, but the moment you add this human touch to it, right? And I think this video showed me, the second video, Shubham, showed me that Mr. Beast is actually human, right? Because some people thought that, what, dude, this guy is probably crazy, like he's just
He's an
doing a lot
alien
of,
like
yeah, yeah, alien,
Zuckerberg.
like he speaks like he slurs when he speaks. He's doing some other things itself, like, I don't think he has, sure, like his personal life or his work life balance isn't something to be very proud of, but at the same time, he is very human. He has those
Yeah, yeah,
emotions, and he wants to sort of, focus on that, and he
yeah.
realizes where he's at. I think that self-awareness, once that comes through, I think it's important.
You should take inspiration from Elon Musk on the family front.
Yeah,
He's like 10, 12 kids now, I guess.
man.
So you should go out and have some fun with the family as well, because
Yeah,
you're right, he looked a little uh, on the downside of the energy in the
yeah,
second interview.
in the second
I
interview.
think, yeah, and he also was a bit uncomfortable when marriage thing came up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I hope he resolves that, and
Absolutely. And like, we also have to mention, Shubham, the fact that he is a post platform creator, right? Like, he's gone beyond the YouTube platform or anything, because he has his own business. Feastables right now is so popular.
yeah,
It's become a rage of its own. And at the same time, he's not crazy enough to sustain, unprofitable businesses, because Mr. Beast Burgers or Beast Burgers
yeah,
have been
shut down.
discontinued, right? They've
Yep,
been shut down because he thought that the quality was not being, met, and there's a lot of logistical problems. So here is a man who's actually not just doing crazy things for the sake of it. He actually has a very big vision in mind, right? And he's also focusing on the business. So he's got everything going for him. Of course, I would just want him to take more rest, want him to take a breather sometimes, travel the world with a video crew, or even without, just with his family
yeah.
perhaps. But at least I'm very excited to see what the future or the next chapter of Mr. Beast is going to look like. Any thoughts, any closing thoughts on what the next chapter of Jimmy is, of Mr. Beast? What do you think that's going to be?
See, I don't know about the very far-fetched future,
Yeah.
but I want to see a collab between him and Elon Musk. I want to see
Wow.
him, do a video with him. Two crazy guys, two
Two crazy
guys full of
guys. Two.
energy. I don't know
Absolutely.
how they manage their time. Two enigmas, let's say, of our modern times.
Yeah.
If they can work together, if Elon Musk is listening, or watching this video, please send Jimmy to the Mars to
Yeah.
shoot the first ever Mars video.
Absolutely. I think he'll probably be a great candidate for it, and they keep riffing on Twitter as well, which is great, because
Yeah.
these two are probably very important figures of our time, and they really, define what popular culture is. Even though they're a YouTuber and a science guy, but they are what popular culture is, right? It's not really a Hollywood
Yep.
actor anymore. They are pop culture.
They
So I
are.
think
Yep.
that's very important. And I think when it comes to these two videos, the first video showed, the high, how he was getting there, how he looks at retention, how he looks at, the hardest video ever, what are some of the things. And now, when he's at the top of the peak, they're interviewing him. So I think the first video was about the ascent. Now this video is about when he's at the peak, he's kind of
Staying there.
exhausted,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
staying there.
Yeah.
I don't know where the next video will be. Do you, in 2025, is he still going to be at the peak? Difficult to say if there's going to be another person, or I hope he's not on a descent, because there is enough and more room on YouTube and this planet for people to sort of do well with whatever they're doing. But kudos and mad respect, just
Yep.
even beyond the content, for the kind of hard work that he puts in, and hope to see him, do crazy things in the future as well.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you have to tell us now what your favorite parts were from the video, from the first episode, which he does done in 2021, or the recent video, which was done in 2023 with the Colin and Samir show. What are some of your favorite parts? What are some things that you felt were not so great about the video? Where are the parts where you felt that he's grown a lot, like he's gotten some perspective? And where do you think he can go from here? Mention it down in the comments below. And of course, please do subscribe to 1000 Faces Club, because we'll be back with another video next week. See you.